good Thursday. I'm going to talk through this morning slate. Sheets is going to try to join me. He's seeing if he can make it, but I don't expect we'll have a whole lot going on here. It's just a nice little 6-gamer. I wasn't prepared to do this alone at all, so I'm trying to figure it out. I have no idea what I'm doing. I haven't built a lineup yet, and there's weather concern. Well, I'm just going to double check the weather to start off with here. It doesn't look like anything that we should be too worried about. Just a lot of little bits of rain here. I'll go game by game and figure out what we want to do because I don't really know what I want to do yet on this slate. So let's take a look at it, and I'm just going to grab Goldie's projections, and then I'm going to share my screen, and we'll get into it. Yes, didn't quite get there with the baseball yesterday. Had some of the didn't quite. Some of my stacks weren't quite what you're looking for, but still come back at it another day. So here we go. Let me just share my screen in 1 second. Okay. Here we go. Why is it not working? There we go. All right. So basically, like you can see over here, I put this is Goldie's ownership projections because I trust them more than SaberSim's. SaberSim does an incredible job, but I just think Goldie's is a little bit better. And you can see, where we're at generally. Instead of talking generally, though, I'm just going to go game by game and just go with my immediate feel. Just playing one big lineup today. That's pretty much it for me. All right. So Luis Gil and Luis Castillo. These are probably two of the top options here. Obviously, Luis Gil, the strikeout upside is going to be tempting for a lot of us. I don't really know that I want to play Castillo against the Yankees, but I'm kind of intrigued by the slightly lower ownership, and there aren't a whole lot of options on this slate. So both Luis's, but Gil is the preferred one for me as of right now. I'm not getting to any of the bats in this game at the moment, but I may change that in a bit. Let me just clear something out real quick. All right. And for what it's worth, it is, it's 80 degrees in New York today. So kind of a pretty nice day over there. All right, let's get into San Francisco and Pittsburgh. So we've got Paul Skeens, the absolute the hardest throwing guy in baseball. The guy's been incredible, and I think that I think that he's totally reasonable. I think that it's an interesting conversation, he versus Gil. I do think Skeens has like the upside. Probably, I think they're pretty close. So. Let's see. What do we have the strikeout prop on him today? 6.66. Oh, the devil's number. I'm just curious what Gil's is. Let's take a look. What do we have? It's not even a strike prop. It's just expected. Yeah, 6.66 and 7.12. I do think playing for max upside, you would probably consider playing just both of those guys. I think it's basically a bullpen game for San Francisco, so we don't really think we really want to do much there. It's 77 degrees, pretty decent hitting weather in Pittsburgh. And I don't mind like some of the Pittsburgh bats in the, you don't necessarily need to stack. I do have Pittsburgh as an interesting, maybe potentially a mini stack, potentially a full stack. I think that Brian Reynolds, Andrew McCutchen, those would probably be my two favorite plays. You've got a nice game in Pittsburgh during the day. Stadium plays as a better hitter's park during the day. Yeah, certainly don't mind Pittsburgh as something to look at. What's up, Sheets?
Hey, what's going on?
We're just 2 games into the game for game here. We're trying to go through it. I've got one lineup reserved and I haven't built it yet. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to
do. So I guess I'll just ask you, because I did a build earlier.
I haven't looked at anything past the first 2 games.
You're not doing okay.
This is live for real. This is me just going through it in my first look thing. Do you want to just finish out the game for game and then we talk about it?
Yeah, sure. What games did you go through so far?
Just the Yankees and Pirates. So I was just saying that it's a very toss-up for me between Luis Gil and Skeens for the Pirates as far as pitchers go. And I do kind of have a little bit of interest in the Pirates.
So how do you spell Skeen, by the way? S-K-E?
Skeenes. And this guy's going to be like maybe the best pitcher in baseball, or one of the best. He's certainly the hardest. He throws harder than everybody in baseball, anybody in real baseball history. As a starter, as far as starters go, he's thrown in one start. He threw 9 of the 10 fastest pitches of the year by any player. So he's a super stud. it's just a matter of there's variance with some of these young guys, and he well now he's made 2 starts here. He got hit a little bit the first one, but yeah, he put up 40 in the last one. He's probably the ceiling play that I think has the highest ceiling, and I would take the over on his K props for what it's worth. Zach Wheeler at this ownership against Texas. Curious what you think about this Philadelphia Texas game, because we have the Heaney situation, and I kind of am interested. I think this is the nightmare matchup for him, but I also could see it going really well, and I also think the Phillies have got to be one of the top stacks, right?
Yeah, I'm just a little confused. I didn't. You say that you're behind. I mean, I didn't even have. See, I had Gill at like the top. I didn't have Skeens at the top at all, honestly. So I have to revisit all this stuff. I just have a different view of all this.
What is your view of it?
I mean, I'm getting like Gill and Feltner. Like that's like my and paying all the way up for hitting. So
yeah, I understand. I was just throwing out. I mean, I think Paul Skeens is, Gill's going to be probably a little bit more popular, which is probably a mistake. Well, I don't know if it's pretty. It's going to be pretty close between the two of them. Those two and Aaron Nola should eat up the majority.
Well, I do have San Diego. Since you're talking about the San Diego the Philly game, I do have Philly, like at least right now rated as pretty high. So yeah, I guess I agree. If that's what you're getting at, that you think Philly's one of the top stacks, that I definitely have that.
Yeah, I think Philly's an interesting stack, and I think that Heaney's an interesting spend down. So something's got to give.
Well, Heaney as usual, like he's
yeah, it's the same thing. It's just a tough matchup.
If he's popular, you don't play him, and if he's popular, and if he's unpopular, you probably play him.
Yeah, just a tough matchup though for him, for sure. All right, let's talk about the San Diego and Kansas City game. We can kind of clean it up at the end, I guess, because I'm still trying to decide what I want to do as well. You've got Montas and Waldron. And, man, there was a day where I would never have thought it was possible that you'd see Frankie Montas. Like, I mean, I get it. I get why. He hasn't been good lately. But it's just kind of weird to see him cheap and unowned. We were paying like $10K for this guy like a year ago. And I think that, naturally as it goes with Cincinnati, I think both of these offenses are definitely in play. I think that I would prefer the Cincinnati side, but I'm guessing that the field will as well. And they are. You can see this is most of the chalk here. So I do like these teams, but it's just a matter of how do you get different with these teams. But I like Cincinnati and San Diego. How about you?
Yeah, I did have San Diego rated pretty high, but I was getting to this Waldron guy. I guess I'm like getting these like bad pitchers in my lineups here. Like I was getting to like all kinds of nonsense. So
I mean, Waldron was great. He just dominated Atlanta, so I can't really say too much bad about him. I have no issue with the taking a shot on Waldron. Absolutely, it's just I have no issue taking a shot on Montas. To be honest with you, I just personally didn't think of it myself too much. And it looks like Waldron is getting a little bit of ownership, which is actually, I guess, supports your point. He is 6,200, so he's a spend down. I don't think this is the kind of slate where you can play these 6,200 and get 10 fantasy points, and that's good enough. No, I think that, I mean, you have some of the highest K props we've seen of the season so far on Skeens and Luis Gill. So it's kind of hard just to like, and Skeens could literally, like, it wouldn't surprise me. What did he strike out? 11 of the first 12 batters the last time he pitched. They're not going to be able to touch him for the most. They're going to be able to touch him, but they're not going to be able to keep the ball in play. The guy just is. I think his strikeouts are going to be just out of control. Just think of it as like if we had like a harder throwing, younger version of the Atlanta guy who just
Strider.
Yeah, this Skeens is like a top guy. Like he's not. This is not a. He's what people have been talking about him, for a while. He's going to be one of the best pitchers in baseball in the very near fuure if he's not already.
Well, I just did a rerun. So if that's the case, why? I guess there's no answer, I suppose. But why is he not like projecting higher?
He is projecting higher.
Oh,
I mean, well, I mean, at least that I see he is. I mean, what's the projection? He's projected to have almost 7 strikeouts. Projected at 17 fantasy points versus Gill's 20.
yeah. I mean,
it's not much. I
no,
mean, it's one strike.
I know, but you're making it sound like the guys like Tom Seaver.
He's better than Tom Seaver. I mean, not really.
Oh my God. I mean, who is this character?
I'm just kidding. I
Well, I kind of feel like stacking the Giants for all this. You know, it's like
it's the same conversations we had about Acuna and Tatis years back, where I was just saying like, no, this is and actually Vlad Guerrero, although he's lately been terrible. It's just that level of talent. You know what I mean? It's just the guy's been talked about because he throws 103 miles an hour and he's a monster of a human being who just looks completely unhittable most of the time.
Somehow the Pirates have him.
Yeah, that's what they got him in the draft. That's what happens. You get the draft picks since Moneyball and everything happened. All of these idiots who were running baseball franchises are no longer running baseball franchises. So the draft is actually like a real thing now. The old school scouts that were just a joke. Now there's guys who actually pick up on the fact that, oh, hey, that guy throws harder and he strikes out 90% of the batters he faces. Maybe we should go out and try and take a look at him. So that's but anyway, so I do think I'm leaning towards a double spend up myself, just because I think the upside, and there's certainly downside. These guys haven't pitched much before, or Skeens hasn't pitched that long before, but he and Gill seem like a very good combination to me. Just playing the strictly upside game, and you save a little bit off of Wheeler, who's I guess also a good play, but I just would rather not mess with Texas. I'd rather mess with San Francisco and Seattle, I guess is what I'm saying.
I do see this San Diego Cincinnati does look like a really big total.
Yeah, it's
or is it one of the Sabres and fraudulent totals?
It's 9.5. Yeah, I mean it's Cincinnati, so I think it's like not ideal. I mean, it's a little wind blowing in 76 degrees. It's fine. It's a great hitter's park, so that's what it is. Yeah. So okay. So Ben Brown and AJ Smith-Shawver in Chicago. You have the wind blowing in from right, so I would probably try to play the righties, not the lefties, in this matchup. And I actually surprisingly don't have this rated incredibly high. And the guys I would want to play would be the righties. Do you have much from the Chicago-Atlanta game today?
I was getting Atlanta because I was, playing these cheapos, but I'm just rerunning everything, and now I am getting a little more of the Skeens. Boy, oh boy, I think it's so. What's the weather like what's the weather like there now?
It's 10 mile an hour winds blowing in from right.
Oh, blowing in, okay.
But blowing in from right, so it shouldn't really affect the lefties too much. And it is 73 degrees, so it's not like a freezing cold day. Yeah, it's just a little harder to target the lefties for power in this situation. And I'm looking, to not necessarily stack. I still have to build this lineup because otherwise I'm just going to be out $555 without having anything in there. I literally don't have a player in there yet. All right, so let's go to or as you're rerunning your things, I'll just go to the last one, which is the A's and Rocky.
Yeah, I'm getting a bunch of this Feldner guy, and I'm rerunning it, and I'm getting the same thing. So I think that I don't know. I think paying up for the hitting seems to be sort of advised today, just based on what I'm getting here. I don't know. I mean, now listen, he hasn't done anything. So,
yeah.
But listen, like you said, and we talked about this the other day when it was Reagan's and Screwball. It didn't work out for Screwball, but you could have the situation where your pitch, you're going to need to get 60 points out of your two pitchers.
Yeah.
To keep up, like you say, if the Skeens has a big ceiling, Gill has a ceiling, Wheeler has a ceiling. You know what I mean? So between those three, if two of those hit 30, then you're going to be in trouble trying to catch up with the Feltner Acuna combination. You know what I mean? Which is really what you're doing.
Right.
So, but with that said, I mean, right now that's kind of where I am. I'm getting like Skeens Feltner, Castillo Feltner, Wheeler Feltner, like Gil Waldron. You know what I mean? Like these Feltner and Waldron lineups is really what I'm getting. Like I'm kind of looking through and I'm trying to find some of the double pay ups, and yeah, I'm getting some like Wheeler Castillo's, for example, but not too many of them. Most of them are sort of like one pay up and one cheapo, and not to mention the other guy, Estes. You know.
Yeah, I think Estes is just as good a play as Feltner is, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
I don't see any real difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just Feltner throws baseballs and he's playing at Oakland. I think there's an interesting argument to stack this game. Personally, I'm gonna. I realize now with my single lineup, I don't see it as a slate where you need to try to spend up for bats. I personally am going to go the other route and use my I'm going to spend up for the like you said, the 60. Just try to get the 60 for my pitchers. And if I had to pick any of the value guys, I'm just going to take a look because I'm kind of want to look at their game. I do think this Colorado Oakland game is kind of an interesting game to look at. It's Oakland during the day is a little bit better, wind blowing out 70 miles an hour. It's not 58 with 5 miles or 10 mile an hour winds blowing in. It's blowing the other way. So I'm kind of into that idea. It seems like Feltner will be the most popular, I guess, of the cheapos, but and I think that's he and I don't know. I just don't know if that savings is enough for me because we don't usually get these K props. We don't usually have 3 guys over 6.5. It's just so with Wheeler, Skeens, and Gill. I think that I would just rather side with the upset.
I'll tell you something else, by the way. I'm looking at Lewis Gill. I mean, Lewis Gill struck out 14 guys in his last start, and he had like 40 fantasy points. Is this the time where Seattle just goes off? Maybe.
I thought about that too. I personally think if we're going to do that, why not go against the really bad pitchers in Oakland, the ones we're talking about playing.
Right. Well, just because Gill's going to get played. That's
right.
The other thing, by the way, is I know the weather. They say it's going to rain, but it's going to disappear. Whatever. I just will say this: that it is freaking coming down in New York. Now it is supposed to stop, but it's as long as the field doesn't get flooded from this, it should be fine.
Yeah.
But I just figured I would give you the Sheets, Mrs. Sheets weather report. Like I just barely made it here before the skies fell this morning. So I mean, literally, I walked into my office as the rain was starting to drench behind me. So,
yeah.
So, if what I'm saying is what other people are going to do, like you said, if Feltner comes in like 15% or something, or worse, like 20. Because of what I'm saying, because not because I'm saying it, because like other people are getting the same type of thing, then yeah, maybe just go play the other side of this game. Maybe go play Colorado or something. Or play Oakland.
Yeah, I think either one of them certainly makes some sense. I mean, Feltner, like if this game was in Coors, like that would be the chalk, and we'd be arguing about whether or not to play the chalky.
That's right.
So. I'm okay with it. I think they're going to get like a tiny, at least a little bit of ownership anyway. So I'm looking at that, and I'm probably going to piece some favorite spots. I just want to point out we have that Herdabisi guy for Cincinnati leading off again at 2,200. Mike Ford is batting cleanup for Cincinnati at 3,400 at 3,300. There's some real value out there which makes me just again to my point. Like James, I don't want to pick on Nola, but he's 2,200 batting 5th. Maley is a part of Cincinnati is 2,400 batting, he's batting 8th, but he's 24. I mentioned the Mike Ford one, the San Diego guys. I wouldn't fall for the Peralta thing because he got platooned after like 1 at bat. Maybe he had 2 yesterday.
Yeah.
But you've got Kalenic at 2,800 for Atlanta batting 7th. Like there's just Atlanta's catcher today. They're using Trump, so it's on 2,600 if you want to do an Atlanta stack. There's just a lot of value out there if you wanted to use it. So I'm just doing that, looking at that myself. I'm gonna have to hustle a little bit to get this lineup in.
All right, so we can get out of here.
Okay. How was the Yankee game, by the way? Looked like a good one.
It was great.
Every time you go, I feel like Judge and Soto hit home runs. Am I wrong?
No, it's even worse because I was with my friends last night. I was at the game, and I said literally one pitch before Judge did his home run. I said, just so you know, I'm currently on a 4-game Judge home run streak, and literally the next pitch he hit a home run.
Oh my God, that's hilarious!
Just insane, right?
Okay, I got to keep that in the
Right.
mental thing.
And then, what's his name almost hit one? I think the Verdugo also. I think.
Verdugo hit one, yeah.
Yeah, remember the last time I was there, he hit it at 1% ownership. Like lefty, you got the opposite field or something.
Yeah.
So Verdugo and Judge are the guys. The other thing was kind of interesting that I was noticing is the Bryce Miller. Like he gave up home runs, but the guy was like incredibly efficient. He got through he was through like 6 innings, like 54 pitches or something like that. Even though he got kind of like whatever. And what's his name? Freaking stinks. I mean, I'm telling you, all these Yankee pitchers stink. Rodon stinks. Cortez is terrible. Okay, they're all bad. They need Cole to come back. That's it. They gotta come back. I mean, it took Cortez like 50 pitches to get out of the first 2 innings. It was ridiculous.
He ended up putting up a good number,
I guess.
Oh man, I had a chance at the chop for a little while at the NBA thing. It just
really
didn't go my way. It was a 2-way chop too. It was only
that's kind of amazing.
It was absolutely amazing to me that it was only duplicated one time, but it was the Nas Reed, McDaniel, and then all the superstars. But Nas Reed as a captain, and then when they brought Reed out, which they usually do, but I thought maybe they'd leave it, and then he came back in for a minute. It's just I needed basically an extra like 5 points or 5 fantasy points out of Reed, and he didn't play the last the bit, and then that's what got me. But would have been cool. All right, well I'll take it off. I'll take it because we got lock in 10 minutes, so I'm gonna get out of here pretty soon, I think. Unless
just to give you an update, by the way, I can say this online as well. So I was late. I've been interviewing developers to kind of help with a couple of projects I'm working on. One of them being TrueDFS, and we might have something. We'll
I'd love to hear that.
We will see, but I think that I'm interviewing another guy too. So the fact that he was able to follow what I was saying about is kind of testament enough that it's probably a good idea. Like I told him everything, like all the stuff with the projections we do and everything like that. And he says, "Oh, so basically what you need is like a web scraper. This is my wow." It's like so, and the guy also he knows of an expert in WordPress also. So we'll try to do something.
Awesome. That sounds good to me.
Actually, go offline. Let me talk to you offline for this.
Okay, I can't. Can we?
Oh yeah, I'll talk to you later. Okay.
Okay. I'll just. You know what? I'll give you a ring in just 10 minutes.